More parliamentary procedure while we're at it. We'll move on to financial statements, bank reconciliations. Any comments? Questions?
Did you send him an update today, or this?
They already got that.
That was a budget amendment, okay.
Did everyone get a copy of the budget?
Is that sales tax? Revenues are up 76,000, that's not our portion. That's just,
Yeah, this is ours, it's just reflects our share. I think our, here it is. This, our ADM, the way it's split this year, we actually gained a little bit on Jackson County, so we get a little bit larger portion, like 0.01%, but and they carried out, actually out to 5 decimals when they do that calculation, but so I think it's a combination of an increase in overall property or sales taxes plus we get a little bit more based on ADM than we did last year.
I have a question on the TVA money. This estimation you've got of the end of the tax amount being $506,000 less than last fiscal year, does that include the expected 13% drop that we learned about in December? It does include that.
And we were just told yesterday that we can expect a similar amount drop next year, and then hopefully after that,
Won't be
Bill,
another drop.
it wasn't presented in exactly that way. Becky and I have spent a lot of time in meetings lately. We have had very productive, I think, meetings with all of our representatives. We spent a couple hours, Senator Livingston generously spent over 2 hours with us yesterday, asked a lot of good questions, just making sure they understand our financial situation in Scottsboro City Schools and how decisions that they make, how that might impact us. So really good conversation there. We've spent a good bit of time talking with County Commission on some different things. There was, and we were kind of waiting to see how this would turn out. We did receive, yesterday, was it, or today, my days are running together. Becky had inquired a while back, we had not received our business privilege tax. And so in inquiring about that, realized that there had been a request for an AG's opinion, and we did get kind of an explanation about why about that. That's about $27,000 for us, but the AG's opinion came in yesterday. It wasn't very favorable to us, but Commissioner Hodges shared that they hadn't made any decisions about what to do about any of that yet, so there's no change, but that was not good news. And I think they're not looking at trying to do any of this, but they legally could even have some administrative money off the top from sales tax, and that would for us be to the tune of $140-something,000. So we're hoping, I think they're trying to avoid making any changes, but as you know, they've got their own financial situation to deal with, and so we're watching things like that pretty closely. We kind of have not caught a break in any area. So you see every category, it's just going the wrong direction for us. And we've already went over kind of our outlook for staffing next year, our federal dollars, our enrollment, and the ADM affecting our funding for teacher units, and now this and these other items. So anyway, we'll just deal with it, but
I've seen Warren decrease too much.
right.
Thank you for simplifying again. Wish it was this kind of simple, so that.
I wish I could do that. Yeah, I look forward to that day.
Any other questions about those bank statements, reconciliation? Fourth meeting will be personnel. Dr. Spivey, you want to go with that?
Well, you don't have a list right now. I think we may have, we shouldn't have but maybe one or two things, a leave of absence or anything. We have some things that are in the works there. So we may or may not have personnel actions, but I think we at a minimum have something in CEP to bring to you, but it should be a very brief thing. I was going to mention, kind of this afternoon, came to my attention, we had our substitute teacher training last week, and so we have, good news, some additions to the substitute teacher list. So I know I don't have it on this list because, again, we were just having this discussion this afternoon, but I'd like to add, just kind of slide in another item, so have 5 instead of 4 items under action items, additions to the substitute teacher list, and get those names to you for in your packet, for the board packet. Is that agreeable with everybody?
Any new bus driver subs?
I don't think so. Are you volunteering? Mr. Ball, we don't have any new bus driver subs, do we? No.
I did speak with one today who's a potential.
Okay.
She's a retired teacher from Florida. And I think it's a long shot, but maybe worth mentioning.
Mr. Ball was sharing with me yesterday or the day before, I guess he had discovered or heard in a meeting that he went to about a way that some retired bus drivers can drive. What'd you say, 90%?
Drive about 90% of the job, which is 9 routes.
So I guess we were thinking about that moving forward, if we, as we have people who retire who are interested in doing something partially like that, or maybe if 2 retired drivers wanted to split, maybe one do the morning route and one do an afternoon route, we have an option that we can look at there. So.
Anything else with personnel? Volunteer coaches?
We just put that email that Brad sent as additions, have a list for your approval to add those to the volunteer coach list.
Is the SRO considered our employee or the city's employee?
It's not our employee, it's the city's employee.
So we don't run into overtime issues using volunteer like we did before?
I don't think so. If they were to volunteer coach, they're not our employee. I wouldn't think, and in a lot of school systems, I know in Madison County, we had SROs that also worked, at extracurricular events and things like that, even still on their job in the school system, but were paid through the sheriff's department or the city. So I don't think that's an issue.
I didn't think
That
that
it would be.
would
I thought about it.
I didn't,
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that.
I was pretty confident of the answer
Yeah,
on
we're good
that.
there, but, and it's the duties are, one would be considered supervising children and the other would be a safety type of situation, I think, so I think even that would.
The big thing is that they're not our employee on our
They're
payroll.
CDs.
Any questions, comments about the volunteer coaches? All right, the FY16 budget amendment, this will be the first budget amendment for FY16.
And I did send out information today, everybody got that. Do you want me to kind of go over the major
Sure.
changes? Okay, of course, the biggest thing was adjusting, beginning fund balances to actual. And of course, we estimate those are during the budget time for October 1. And then, of course, we don't get everything closed out until November. So after we closed out everything, did our capital outlay flex, and looked at what we underspent areas and then overspent. Actually, we were able to increase our beginning fund balance $987,000. We also, in this current budget, received approval of a Career Tech Extended Contract Grant. That's 100% state fund, and that provides for one of our ag teachers a stipend for summer work and attending some additional training, professional development in the summers. And of course, we already touched on the TDA and lieu taxes. We decreased that revenue by $101,000. Last year, our actual was $805,000. I budgeted $800,000 for this year, thinking I would just keep it level, and then, of course, that didn't even work out. So we're projected for the current year $698,000 in TDA and lieu taxes. There was some professional development that we wanted to pay for out of the local funds. For our strategic planning, we tried to pick those teams where, not everybody has to have subs, but some people will. Out of the textbook committee, there's some meetings that they will have to attend. Our educator effectiveness training, and then also the Ron Clark Academy Impact provided kind of a grant, I think, to send some teachers to that, and all we had to do was pay for this low. So I budgeted $15,000 to cover those out of general fund for all of those areas. And I had some adjustments to make in building and maintenance, other professional services for our bleacher inspections for the movable bleachers, and our pest control, and we provide uniforms for the maintenance department. So that was a total of $18,000. And I increased our legal services budget for a due process. And talking with Dr. Spivey, that I may not have been generous enough there, so that may be adjusted in the second amendment as well. But
I'm going to explain a little bit about that tonight. So that's on the agenda.
And the one that, the next little bullet is the one that in 7 years of preparing budgets for the school system, I've never done, which is forget to budget for my own department except for the personnel. I got all them in there, but budgeted nothing for the accounting and finance department. So even though contracts have been approved for our accounting and time management systems, for professional development, equipment, repairs and maintenance, total for that would be $76,500. So just left that one off, and I was really looking forward to bringing that one to you. But of all the general fund, after everything has been adjusted in this first amendment, the net effect of this budget amendment on the general fund is an increase of $765,000. So after this amendment, budgeted expenditures and other uses would be $21,161 for FY16, which would make our, I'm sorry.
21 million.
Yes, what did I say? Did I? That's a small budget. We're working with bigger numbers. $21,161,000 for FY16, and that would put our 1 month reserve at $1.7 million, and our projected reserve at the end of the year is $1.365 million, about 77% of the requirement.
And what was it last year? What was our projected at this point last year?
Around,
We were a little closer, right?
oh no, we were farther.
I mean,
We're a
now.
lot closer.
Yeah, we're a lot closer now, yes, much closer. I think
I
it
just
was
can't remember.
around like 40 or 50%. It was,
One point is 35 range.
Our goal is for that to be 100%.
Yes.
But we're not quite there yet.
but we're getting
We're
closer.
getting there.
We're continuing that direction. The special revenue fund, minor adjustments there, that's most of your federal funds and your local school public funds. So CMP, I had to adjust their beginning fund balance, $1,200, and then the Collins After School Program has a little fund, and had to decrease what I had projected for the beginning fund balance there, $2,500. So that was just small adjustments. We did get a $3,300 federal grant to provide some credentialing for some of our career tech students. I think the current budget just includes like CNA certifications and this certifications under the Serve Safe program. So in the budget that you have, it's not complete. The federal revenue carryover from last year is made available to us just recently, I think just right before Christmas actually. So I've got the revenue side budgeted, but there's a little bit of involvement there where Mr. Garner has to get with the schools and do some planning, and so and deciding how they want to spend those carryover funds. So I will have that to you before the board meeting. So there you'll see some changes on the expenditure side of the special revenue funds, but we do have to budget 100% of that revenue in the current year. And then there were no changes made to debt service, capital projects, or the expendable trust funds.
I wanted to mention on that second page, or the first page of her bulleted items, that item number 4 where it says the educator effectiveness. Y'all remember I gave you the list of our team and explained that process, those 6 days, which basically we're paying for the subs. The lady from the state is facilitating those. We had session number 2 yesterday, but one of the things that, if the raise bill moves forward, virtually all that work that's being done there, among other things, will have to be thrown out the window, because it's been a very good process. The people, I know Alan's in there, Kevin's in there, and we have about 25 people working on that. More than half are teachers, and it's been a very good process, and they're coming up. I was very impressed by the end of the day yesterday with where we are. It's going to be a shame to have to throw all that out. So those are some of the kinds of things that we're talking about when we speak with our legislators. We don't want to throw those kinds of things out the window. But that we're paying basically for subs for that. We're getting a lot more out of that than what we're paying for. So
the only significant increase we're seeing among all these decreases is the sales tax.
Correct.
Every other revenue stream is decreasing.
even some we weren't expecting, and then there are some on our radar, like the 2 I just mentioned, that we're watching, that we hope we don't have to add to this list.
The ag and worm tax isn't completely, they're really up until May when we have the tax sale.
But that's not going to increase, that's bad pretty much.
The majority of it is in because, they're due and payable by December 31st. And then you'll have a little bit trickling. You will have still your motor vehicle taxes, but the real estate part, the majority of it is in, not on your November financial statements, but that will be in January.
Yeah, we're able to see the remaining revenue. What I'm saying is the taxes haven't changed that much.
Right.
They're not. It's not, as far as budgeted compared to last year, it's not going up. There might be a few reassessments, but not that many. All right, anyone have questions about the fiscal year 16 budget amendment? If not, can you come up with anything now in the next meeting? Feel free to call.